Up, we're good. So I want to introduce you to our president, Melinda Torrison. She's going to share a few things with you as we get started today before we jump into the Lunch and Learn. So guys, thank you for being with us. Melinda?
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to participate in our Zoom Lunch and Learn this afternoon. We did want to take some time during what is honestly unprecedented times in situations that we're experiencing, not just across our nation, but literally across the globe. What I keep sharing with our team, first and foremost, is just reminding them that we're all in this together, and because of that, we just need to be our best selves and just keep the main thing. So, but we do appreciate you participating in our Lunch and Learn, and we are privileged, consider it a privilege and an honor to be your staffing partner. I did want to take a few minutes to share just several things with you as far as what Metter Staffing is doing on the front lines when it comes to you, our client, and our temporary employees who are possibly working for you and other clients throughout the greater Houston area, as well as other facilities literally across the nation. We did record a video message yesterday that we just sent out to all of our employees who are currently on assignment, encouraging them to remain in contact with you, the customer. We understand that each one of you have various protocols that you've put in place last week and or this week, and so we're encouraging them to be in constant communication with you, but first and foremost to be in communication with us. As you know, it is ever evolving and one of the most fluid situations that I've personally ever been a part of. As we wake up each morning, as you do, it's a new day, and the news is changing, situations are changing, so we're doing the best that we can do to be in constant communication, like I said, not only with our temporary employees, but with you as well. So we are closed to the public effective this past Monday. We're not accepting guests into any of our office locations. The only individuals that we are asking come to our locations are those that we are literally currently placing on positions. And really the reason for them coming into our office locations is to onboard them with the various I-9 documents. We are continuing to ask our staff, those of us who are in the various Metter offices, is to follow the protocols of sanitizing everything, cleaning on a constant basis, washing your hands. We are following the proper protocols as it pertains to social distancing. And we are, actually, we put in place a task force here at Metter Staffing last week that consists of 4 individuals, including myself, our risk manager, our HR, and safety specialist, along with our VP of compliance. So we instituted a task force here at Metter Staffing last week. We're the 4 individuals that are really taking the lead as it pertains to the COVID-19, so that the rest of our staff can do what they do best, and that is to serve you, the client, and our temporary employees. And our task force has put together a number of resources. We are literally at this moment updating our Metter website. So we hope that you will use our Metter website, Metter.com. You'll notice when you go to our homepage, there's going to be a pop-up that is specific to the COVID-19. All you have to do is click on that. It's going to have resources for you as a business owner or as a customer, anything that pertains to COVID-19, how this impacts you as a client, a number of links and resources to use that will be made available to you. We're also including resources that are specific to our employees. Their concerns, of course, are heightened. There's a number of our employees who have been released from their job assignment. We understand the fluidity of the situation. We understand that many of you are going to just essential personnel only being at your job site. And some of those non-essential employees include some of our temporary employees. So what we're doing in regards to those employees is they are automatically going to our hot list, and they are the first ones that we're looking at placing back out on a job. So what we continue to hear from our temporary employees right now is their concern for work, as you know, you're probably hearing and do hear in the news. And so our top priority is to place those individuals. We are so excited and encouraged by the productivity of our temporary employees who are working jobs right now, just their dedication to being at your job site, to continue to move the supply chain, whatever, you know, particular role they might be in. They really consider it right now just a privilege to be on a job and to continue making our economy move forward. So we're constantly looking and reevaluating the role that Better Staffing plays with you, the client, and how we can help you. Our sales team is actively involved in shifting their strategy and calling on many industries and employers who need employees right now. So if that is you or anyone you know, we ask that you reach out to our account managers and or our corporate office. We're here and available to help you find those individuals that you need right now. Like I said, it's a very fluid situation, and we're trying to do the best that we can to keep a handle on this. We know that many of you, your leadership teams, are meeting on a daily basis. We also enforced that and started our leadership team meeting daily calls this past Monday. So we are evaluating just literally on a 24-hour basis what we need to do and coming together to talk about the day and the types of jobs, the types of candidates that we need to be looking for, where our clients are at. What we do ask of you is, if you have not already got in touch with us, we ask you to please reach out to your recruiter and or your staffing consultant, branch manager, and or account manager. If we don't currently have your protocols that you've put in place right now for your site location and your company, we ask that you do that. We have heard from many companies, but we know that protocols are continuing to change. In the event that you are going to change the way that you're working, be it if you're going to go to 100% remote working, or you're only having those essential people come and versus non-essential people, if you would continue to keep us informed and engaged on decisions and protocols and things of that nature that you're putting in place. What I would say is just the key takeaway is be informed, pay attention to the facts, make sure that you are on conference calls or webinars that are taking place. In fact, I believe there's one this afternoon at 1 with the CDC. That's what our task force and our leadership team has been doing behind the scenes literally for probably the last 2 weeks. Is we're staying engaged with content from the American Staffing Association to be aware of what our industry is doing. We're on conference calls with CDC. We're on conference calls behind the scenes, literally with the municipalities in which we have office locations, and doing the best that we can do to remain calm, to continue to operate without a spirit of fear, and most of all, to have factual information. Our first priority is to our internal team here at Better Staffing and those employees. And so we just encourage you and know that you're doing the best that you can do to operate just with a spirit of compassion, with mercy, with empathy. The world as we know it and as we see today, literally at this moment, is ever evolving and shifting and changing. And like I said, we are just privileged to be able to operate in a sphere of influence with people who need jobs and to connect them with you. So again, if there's anything that we can do for you, please do not hesitate to reach out to one of our account managers or those individuals here at Better Staffing that you're currently working with. We are putting together, I'll leave you with, we're putting together FAQs, frequently asked questions that we're hearing from our internal staff, as well as our clients and our temporary employees, that we are wanting to post on our Better website as well. So we're doing the best that we can do. We encourage you to, like I said, just continue to operate with just empathy and compassion. And first and foremost is those of us who just are led by faith. I just really love the scripture right now, Philippians 4:6. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything through prayer and supplication, call upon the Lord, and He'll take care of you. It's interesting, in the Word of God, there's actually 365 scriptures that specifically pertain to not being afraid. So what I'm doing is taking one of those scriptures each day and just reminding myself to not walk in fear, but to walk in transparency and all humility, authenticity, and just with a spirit of peace. And so thank you so much for what you're doing. We hope you enjoy the topic that we're going to be bringing to you today, the 3 C's of learning, and just appreciate you. Thank you again for allowing us to be your staffing partner. And if there's anything that we can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you, Melinda. Before we let her go, we don't have a lot of time for a lot of questions, but Philip on our chat board has asked if you have any questions specifically for Melinda that might be good for the group. If not, we want to encourage you to email the office or call the office directly. You can talk to Val Smith here at vsmith@meta.com. She will put you in touch with the leadership team or the task force or whoever you need to talk to. But does anyone have any questions? Are we seeing anything at this point? Feel free to chat that question. There's too many people online for us to open up the voice talking, but we'll wait for just another second.
Yeah, and we do. Before I leave, Rick, I appreciate you sharing that. Please reach out to us. In fact, feel free to email myself at mtorrison at Metter.com. We would love to. We want to hear from everybody. We don't believe that this is a time where over-communicating is a bad thing. That's really what we're trying to do, is communicate to the best of our ability. But we want to hear from you, and what are you hearing? What are you seeing? We really are wanting to be the eyes and ears and connect industries, connect companies, and really be the hub for just information and a resource as to what's going on out there from day to day. So I personally would love to hear from each one of you and just appreciate the information that you could share.
Any questions yet, Philip? Nothing? Well, as valued clients with us as well, let us know if this is helpful, if it was good to hear from her, because we're looking at doing different e-videos and emails through video to continue to communicate. If this is helpful for you, put a chat in there for Philip. Let us know or send us a note and how we can continue to serve you. And we also want you to know that the red phone right here, those of you that are old enough to know, this is how you get a hold of Melinda. This is what's sitting on her desk. She's got the hot phone for you. So it's not plugged in. We're going to go plug it in. But we're glad that you guys are with us. And anything that Metter can do to serve you, please don't hesitate to let us know. Thank you, Melinda. I appreciate it. You can go this way. You don't have to step over the cord.
Thanks.
Oh, you need this too. That's not you?
Nope, that's not me.
That's me. Oh, that's Philip. Well, excuse me. We're going to hydrate. All right. Well, everybody still with us, Philip? It's hard when there's not people here. What do we got?
Nora Bernal wants to know if there's going to be an outline for today like last time.
Should have been mailed if you pre-registered. It was mailed to you. It was emailed in the registration link. So Nora, I'm not sure if you pre-registered, look at the bottom of the link that has all of the, or the email that has all of the information on how to register in. You should have notes for this session that you should have downloaded and you have with us. I think they look like this when you open them up and look at them. So I've got a few people here in the office that are in the office here that are with us here that I'll be talking to as well. But primarily today, I want to talk to you guys, and I want to first of all thank you for continuing to sow into yourself, continuing to sow into your leadership, your teams, and your company. I know these are trying times. I know every day you wake up, it's a little bit different, and we don't know what's coming from day to day. but keeping a level head, continuing to go through life, I guess, as if it was normal, as best we can, is really kind of the best attitude we can take. There's nothing more important, and that's what we're going to talk about today. If you've been on with us and if you've got a question, send it to Philip. He's going to let me know. He'll interrupt me, and I want to engage with you guys. So please chat your questions. We'll stop and we'll get to them if we can while we're talking today. But there's nothing more important than hiring and retaining excellent employees. You guys already know that. The cost to keep your employees during this crisis is going to be less than the cost of having to replace them. So I know that everyone's working hard not to let employees go because once they're out in that market and once things change, getting them back is going to be difficult. So we want to do everything we can to help you retain and keep those employees you have and continue to service and meet your needs. So we are going to talk about the 3 C's of hiring, and I want to walk through that with you today just a little bit. So let me ask you guys a question. Are you guys hiring superstars, or are you hiring one-hit wonders? Are you hiring for the future, or are you hiring to fill a need in a position in the moment? Right? I mean, sometimes we need to do that, but the bigger picture is when you're hiring, what are you hiring for? What are you looking towards? You know, I love this Peter Drucker quote in the slides that you've got up there. It says, of all the decisions that an executive makes, the people decisions are the most important. I think that's it's a great quote. According to a study by Leadership IQ, and there's several quotes in here I'll be sharing from them, 46% of newly hired employees fail within the first 18 months, while only 19% achieve what he calls an unequivocal success. Let me tell you those stats again. 46% of newly hired employees will fail within the first 18 months, while only 19% will achieve unequivocal success. So if you're still not convinced, in your notes on the side margin, if you don't have them, I'm going to go through those with you. But if you're still not convinced, here's a couple other statistics. Bad hires cost on the average of $240,000 in expenses related to hiring, compensation, and retention. Okay? That's the undercover recruiter. Bad hires cost up to $240,000 in expenses related to hiring, the compensation and retention. Career Builder said this, 74% of companies who admit they've hired the wrong person for a position lost an average of $14,900 for each bad hire. Now, if we had the time to sit around the table and talk and share some of your stories, I'm sure that you would have similar stories that you would be able to share with us. So the topic we're talking about is critical, especially in the hour that we live, right? So contrary to popular belief, technical skills are not the primary reason why we should be hiring. And so if it's not, let's talk about it. Here's another statistic I want to share with you. Leadership IQ again did a study of over 5,000 hiring managers from 312 public, private, businesses, and healthcare organizations who hired over 20,000 employees. And over that study period, this is what they learned, and it's in your notes. And it's on the screen so you can take a look at it. Here's what they learned in that study of over 20,000 employees and 5,000 hiring managers. The first thing is 26% of new hires fail because they can't accept feedback. They don't know how to receive the constructive criticism they need to do better. 23% fail because they're unable to understand and manage emotions. Again, I've got a little bit of a team in here that lead people. Emotions are an interesting thing. We have all experienced employees and coworkers who have a hard time sometimes managing their emotions. And we know that that's a challenge. 17% fail because they lack what it says, the necessary motivation to excel. They're just not motivated. 15% from their study fail because they have the wrong temperament for the job. Maybe good people, but the job they're in, the position they're in, doesn't fit who they are and their leadership or communication style. The last one is, and this is the one I want you to hear, 11% fail in new hires because they lack necessary technical skills. So it's not the technical skills that are the number one reason why people are failing at their job. It's these other soft skills or critical skills or essential skills that we talk about. So what is the key to hiring a great team and employees that stick? We're going to go through that. And if you've got questions, feel free, again, to jump in with your thoughts or examples. I'm going to ask you guys to give me some input here in just a minute. So the 3 C's of hiring. When hiring a great team, you need to consider these things. There's other things, but this is really in our research and study and working with companies, in the relationships that I have in helping companies through employee engagement and onboarding and hiring. These are the things that come up over and over and over again, why they seem to continue to lose people. Think about this, the typical job interview process. Now I'm going to ask you a question. When you think of hiring someone, what is the primary thing that you're considering? What's the first thing that you typically think about when you're hiring someone? And if you could just write that word in. When you're going to hire someone, what's the first thing that goes through your mind in hiring? I'd love to, and Philip will let me know. You guys in the room, when you're hiring someone, what's typically the first thing that you guys think about? First thing that comes to mind when you're going to interview somebody and you're going to hire them for a position you have. Can they do the job? Can they do the job?
Good culture fit.
Are they a good culture fit? Okay, you're reading ahead. Who said that? Do we know, or is it a number? Denise. Good answer, Denise. That's very true, but typically for most of us, we're not thinking how well they fit the culture. We're thinking about, can they do the job? What's the first thing you look at? Their resume, their skills, their training, what they've done in the background, where have they been, who have they worked for? Can they do what we're going to ask them to do? And that's non-negotiable. They have to be able to do that, right? But let me ask you guys a question. Do we have any others, Phil? Feel free to jump in. Experience? That's it? Okay, great. So let me ask you guys a question. Do the technical skills matter if the employee's not teachable? Do technical skills really matter if the employee alienates their coworkers? Is the technical skills really matter if they don't share your company's vision and values? Right, if they don't fit the culture? Does the technical skill matter if they lack the emotional intelligence, which is a conversation many companies are having right now, to do the job that they're being asked to do? So let's look at these 3 C's and let's spend a little bit of time talking about them and how these 3 C's are critical to hiring to add strength to your teams and employees that stick, right? Well, each is critical. I want to tell you this, they are not of equal importance. Okay, and so we're gonna talk through that. I want to walk through that with you a little bit. Each is critical, but they're not of the same shared importance. And I believe this, competency is critical, but it's not as important as character and culture, and we're going to talk about why. So the first one I want to hit is competency, right? Competency, I'm going to get this word right. Competency is not negotiable. You have to start there, right? Can they do the job? Do they have the skills? Do they have the training? Do they have the background? Do they have the experience? If they don't have any of that, the next questions don't matter. They have to have some basic level of ability to do the job. So competency is non-negotiable, but it can't be taught, right? I'm sorry, competence can be taught, right? These other ones, they can't really be taught. So you may have someone who has a minimal competency, but they have it, right? But they have great character and they fit your company and you really believe that they're a great add to the company. You can train and accelerate their training, their competency. But the other way around doesn't work very well. You cannot train typically for culture or for character. And we're going to talk about that. The second one is character, right? Character is king. Character is our integrity. It's who we are, what they say when no one's looking. But it's the hardest to discern. Character is very difficult to discern, to see in someone, right? Because we can put on a front, we can put on a mask, we can present in an interview what you want to see. And sometimes it's hard to see beyond that. And we're going to talk about how do you do that? How do you get to understand someone's character? And then the third one that we're going to talk about is culture. Now, culture is critical, but it's based on the vision and the values of the organization. Now, some of you may be saying, well, we don't have really clear vision or values. We're going to talk about that because really culture is based on that vision and values that exist within the company, whether you have them stated or you don't. Okay, you guys all still with me? Give Philip a thumbs up over there if you're with me and you're locked in. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. So let's talk about these. We're going to start with competency. There's 2 questions and 3 keys that I want to share with you briefly when we're talking about competency. When we think about competency, that is going to really, that's a tough one. Say that really fast, all right? When we think about competency, we think primarily about the skill set to do the job. While it's important and non-negotiable, skills can be strengthened, skills can be taught. There's training that we can offer to grow them in their ability to do the job. So that answers the first question, which is this: can they do the job? When we're talking about competency, the first question is, can they do the job? Based on the job description, the expectations, do they have the necessary skills and training to perform, meet, and exceed the expectations of what you need? But there's another question that's just as important, okay? And it's tied to the skills they are bringing into the organization. This question speaks to growth. It speaks to their ability to innovate, to problem solve, and to lead others. And the second question is this: are they teachable? That's really what you need to discern. Are they teachable? Are they willing to learn? Are they learners? Are they willing to grow? No one comes into a business knowing everything they need to know. They're going to need to learn. And are they teachable? Now, when considering the competency of new hires, there's also 3 keys that I want to talk to you about that most of us don't think about, but I want to bring your attention to and talk to you a little bit about how you can engage these keys to unlock their competency and to find out how well they're going to fit. The first key that I want to share with you is critical thinking. When it comes to competency, we want to know, do they have the ability of critical thinking? I used to be a school teacher, and I taught elementary, junior high, and then high school. This is 30 years ago, a long time ago. But there was always a test was to critical thinking, the word problems. How many of you enjoyed the story problems or the word problems they added to all the tests? We hated them. But the purpose of the story problem, the word problem, was to discern the ability to think critically, to solve a problem, to think outside the box, right? Critical thinking is critical to the competency of your employees. Can they analyze situations? So think about questions you might ask around critical thinking. Can they analyze situations and solve problems? So you would ask a question about a problem, a situation, give them a scenario they're going to have to work through to demonstrate their competency, right? When they've had to think through things on their own, how did they do? How did it come out? What did they do when they got stuck? That's critical thinking types questions. The second one is collaboration. For the most part, most of your jobs don't require people to work in isolation. They may be off to a desk working on certain projects, but ultimately they've got to collaborate with others. You may have all the skill in the world to do the job, but if you can't work well with others, if you can't play well with others, right, what good is that going to be? Are you going to become more of a division or divisive on the team than you are a help to grow the team? They have to be able to collaborate. Again, simple questions. Where have you worked in teams? What did it look like? How did you do? Where did you fail as a team? Great questions are always to ask, where did you fail? Where did you not succeed? Where did you run into a wall? Where were you confronted with something? Those questions will reveal a lot of the character, right, of those people and their competency of dealing with them. So you have critical thinking, you have collaboration. The third one I want to mention to you is communication. Now here at Metter Staffing, we do a lot of training. We've done lunch and learns on the communication, working with the DISC to help you build dynamic teams and work in building your teams to understand how people communicate. If you really want to excel in your sales and your relationships and growing your people, it's critical you understand how people listen, how they hear, and how they respond. And the more we can do that and understand that, the stronger teams that we can build. So this is becoming one of the biggest questions and the biggest issues and challenges of the workforce today. I worked with a large company that did services to the petrochem industry all over the United States and all over the world. They had amazing engineers. They were all between 24 and 30 years old. Amazing, talented, skilled, gifted people. But they had to work with plant managers and people out on the site that were 50, 60, 70 years. Communication was very difficult. They didn't understand how to communicate, the language to communicate in, the respect they needed to show in communicating. And so they ended up with a lot of issues that could have been taken care of if they understood how to communicate. Communication is critical in everything we do. And here at Metter Staffing, we work hard to help you understand your communication styles and the styles of your team. If you want to know more about that, let us know, reach out to us, ask Val, and we'd love to come and do one of these lunch and learns for you on site to help you. And we can do a DISC communication training, a leadership training. Just let us know. It's for another conversation. So let's talk about moving on to character a little bit. Peter Schultz had this statement. He said, hire for character, train for skill. hire for character, train for skill. What do you guys think about that? How does that resonate? Is that something you already do? Is that something that you hadn't really thought about before in terms of priorities of when you're hiring? And you guys, when you think about that and the work that you guys have done in here and the people you've hired, where does hiring for character or skill, if you were going to rate them typically, what do you look for first? Is it typically skill, or do you think character first? Character? Okay. For most of it's probably skill first, as we're thinking we're hiring towards skill. But if you think about hiring towards character and culture, which we're going to talk about, and they have the basic skills, man, you can train them to be phenomenal employees and give them everything they need to do the job with excellence. So in the hiring process, education, experience, and skill are all documentable and they're verifiable. Those things you can document and you can verify. A candidate's character, on the other hand, it's particularly difficult to really understand or pin down. But we're going to help you do that. We're going to help you process through that. But here's what I want you guys to know. If you compromise character, I'm going to say this again. If you compromise character, because the need is great, I got to have it now. They're begging for this now. We need to fill this position, this job, this assignment. They're so gifted. They have all the pedigree to do this. But you compromise character, you risk hurting your other employees, damaging the culture of your company, your investors, and your public reputation. Is it worth it? Those are the questions that only you can answer. So discerning character, while difficult, I want to tell you it's not impossible. It's not, and there's many ways to do that. In order to hire for character, we've got to first define what character is. What do we mean when we talk about character? So let's take a look at that. When you think of character, let me ask you guys, what do you think about? What words come to mind when you think of someone's character? And you guys that are online, text some words to me. When you think of character, what are you thinking about? You guys in here, what are you thinking about? Their presentation, so how they present themselves, okay, might speak to their character. What else do you think about when you think about the character of someone?
Integrity.
Integrity, right? Are they honest people? Do they seem to tell the truth? Are they trustworthy people? Okay, what else do you think of when you think of character?
Work ethic.
Oh, a work ethic, right? Someone online said work ethic. Yeah, what's their work ethic? Are they hard workers? Do they show up early and stay late, or do they get the job done? What does that look like? That's all a part of their character. But how do we judge the character of people? This is a tougher one. We could say this is what we look for, but how do you judge that? How do we judge character? Actions. So actions imply that we have to spend time with someone. We have to actually see them working, right? Or we have to talk to people that have seen them working, right? What are their actions? We can, like I said, in an interview, you guys already know this, we can present and give you I can convince you to hire me. I don't care what the job is. I may have no skill in it. I can convince you to hire me. That does not mean that you should hire me, right? We have the ability to put on a good dress, a good outside, to get what we need. But what we found time and time again is once they get in there, we realize, man, this thing that we thought we understood is not what we're getting. And that cost at that point is so high. There's ways to mitigate that, and that's what we're talking about today. In the interview process, what does it look like to interview for character? How do you do that? Hey, are you honest? Reference calls, right? Calling the people they've been to, right? And I would tell people, give me a reference you don't think is going to be a good one. Who's someone we would call that probably isn't going to give you a good reference? Now, they may not give it to you, but you'll see their response, how they go through that, right? Have you ever had a bad recommendation? Ask them that. Their whole demeanor when they start to answer, that's going to tell you how they've dealt with it, what it was like to them. And this is a free one. I'm just going to give this to you guys. I don't know how we're doing on time. I don't have it in front of me. Here's a free one. If you're interviewing someone and you're asking them questions and they start to give you an answer and you hear the word but, and they keep talking about but. Well, let me tell you this, but is a word that is a precursor to an excuse or to a justification of something. Right? I would be careful if someone you're talking to and interviewing prefaces everything, well, but let me make sure you understand. Well, but you weren't there. Those words are saying I'm displacing ownership outside of myself. Just a side that I'll throw at you, right? Okay, so one way that we can do this, and you have to be careful with this one, I'm going to give you this as well, and there's some legalities around this, so check before you do it, but social media is a window to people's lives. Legally, it's very challenging you can't not hire someone because of something you saw on social media. But how do you not let that influence you? But yet it's public information. And so it's an interesting place, and who people present themselves to be online isn't always who they are. We could have a whole conversation around that as well. But their online presence is one way to see how they communicate, the things they say, the things they're involved in. I just want to caution you, make sure before you go down that road, you know where that line is and how you're going to use that information. Okay? So let's look at the definition I have up here of how we're looking at character. Character, how someone thinks, feels, and behaves when no one is looking. That's what we're talking about with character, right? What comes out in the times of stress or pressure. The best way to see someone's character is in the world that we're living in right now. The stress and anxiety and pressure that's hitting the world and businesses and bosses and employees, there is fear, and it's real. Whether it's coming from a truth or not doesn't matter. The fear that people are experiencing in this current moment is a real emotion, and I want to encourage you, acknowledge the emotion. The challenge is that fear coming from a place of truth, or is it coming from a thought or an imagination or fodder that's out there from people that just want to stir up fear? You can't ignore their fear, but you also can't be driven by the source of that fear unless we know what its source is. Does that make sense? Let Philip know that you guys are locking in on that one, because I think it's really important that we understand that and that we recognize how that plays out in this. So you are recognizing and seeing the character of a lot of the people you work with, the clients you work with, the customers you work with, the people that are around you, family members, all over the place. You're seeing their character because they're being squeezed right now. And when we're squeezed, what's inside comes out. What's inside? I'm not saying we should be perfect and we're going to mess up and we're going to fail and we're not going to communicate well and I might get angry or mad or frustrated. I understand that. But when I do, the issue isn't that. Here's the thing. If you got employees who are scared right now and they're acting in different ways and they're wanting to do different things, or they're not sure what to do, they're looking to you for direction, and they say or act in a way that you think isn't very professional or isn't very smart, whatever that might be, I want you to take into consideration the position that they're coming from. And it isn't what they say and do, but when you confront them or you talk to them or you try to help them understand this isn't okay, how do they respond? We're all going to do and say stupid things. That's not the problem. The problem is, how do we respond when we're told we did something or said something that was stupid or wrong or not acceptable? When I get confronted with my own brokenness, my own fears, my own stuff that spills out, how do I deal with it? You want to find character? You'll find it in that moment. Okay? So character, it's how someone thinks, feels, and behaves when no one is looking, because it will ultimately show up when people are looking. I love this quote. I'm going to share this with you. This is a quote I picked up. I'm not even sure where I got it. It's in the margin of your booklet, if you have your booklet, but it's on the screen. It says, determining good character is not just about avoiding risk. When you are hiring to character, you're looking at character, it's not just about avoiding risk. It's also about maximizing gain. Unlike skills, character cannot be taught. So when you hire a high-quality character person, what you're going to get is someone who's going to work hard, they're going to be engaged, they're going to show up, they're going to learn, they're going to take criticism well, they're going to be everything you need them to be able to do what you need them to do. So how do we discern character in our interviews? And it begins by asking a few questions that reveal character. I want to give you some practicals with that. And let me check in. Any questions? We still doing okay over there? Everybody still with me? Nobody's checking out? Okay. Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you hanging in. Here's some questions I want you to think about. Questions like this. You want to find out about character, ask how they've dealt with difficult coworkers. In the past, because everyone has. Well, I've never worked with a difficult person. Okay, right there, you probably need the red flag and say either that this is their first job or they're lying to you, right? We all work with difficult people. That's not the issue. The issue is how well do we work? What does it look like? How do we engage difficult people? Ask them how they do when they're faced with adversity. We're seeing that right now. So this you're going to get a lot of character revealed over these next few days and weeks, depending on how long this lasts. How have they overcome obstacles in the past? Right? How have they handled failure? These are all great questions that we need to ask. So tell me a time when you failed. Oh, I can't think of a time that I failed. Do you want one in the last 15 minutes for me? Or the last day? It's there. It exists. We're failing all the time. That doesn't make us failures. Whole nother conversation. Here's another freebie. Right? Failing doesn't make you a failure. Quitting does. We're never a failure if we keep moving. We're never a failure when we fail if we get up, learn something, and keep going. Failing is the greatest opportunity to learn. It's hard for us to understand because our pride gets hit when we think we fail. But when we own our failures, we have the best chance of growing and learning through our failures. We become better people. So questions like that, how someone answers these questions will reveal to you their character, how confident they are in themselves and the things that they do. But I want to look at this a little bit closer. There's 5 categories and questions that reveal character. And I'm going to give you these as well. So you've got these in your notes. If you don't have them, let us know. We'll make sure you've got them. But when you're hiring to character, it's all about asking the right questions. And so I'm going to go through these 5 areas, and I'm going to give you some questions, but you can think of your own just so you understand them. Hiring to character, you ask about teamwork, because they need to be able to work together as a team, correct? So here's an example of a question for teamwork. Describe a situation where others who you were working with on a project disagreed with you. Right? You're working together on a project. Describe a situation where the people on the project disagreed with you. What did you do? That's a teamwork question, and you can think of others, right? What about perseverance? How well do they press in and go through the hard times and see it through to the end? You might ask a question like this for perseverance, and this is about character again. We're digging to find their character. Tell me about a particular work-related setback that you faced. Some setback at work that you were in, that you faced. How did you deal with it? Again, it's how they had to emotionally respond to a challenge. How about creativity? Let's look at that one. We want creative people. We don't want clones. We don't want drones. We don't want robots. We don't need people that just check boxes, although they need to be able to do that. We want people that are innovative, creative, that are adding to our team. We're going to talk about that in just a minute when we talk about culture. But creativity, here's a question. Tell me about a time when you solved a problem in a unique or unusual way. When did you solve a problem outside of the box, right? And what was the outcome, and how did you feel about that? That would be a creativity question to dig into character a little bit. How about integrity and honesty? That's one we talk about all the time. How do you ask a question that's going to reveal their integrity or their honesty? Tell me about a time when your integrity was challenged. How did you handle it? You're not asking about integrity of how they deal with others, but when they get challenged, how did they handle it? When they were called into question, their integrity, their honor, whether they told the truth or not, how did they respond to that? It's going to reveal a ton about their character and how they view things. The last one is adaptability. How well will they change, adjust to... Okay, adaptability. What are we sitting in right now? Flexibility and adaptability. Every hour, the president of our company said the other day, things are changing daily, and she stopped herself and said, you know what? Things are changing hourly. What does that look like? What does that mean? How do we adapt? But how do you check for the character with that understanding of adaptability? Here's a question. Tell me about a situation in which you had to adjust or to change over something that you had no control over. Corona, right? How did you do? How did you handle it? How did you adjust to the changes when you had no control over those changes? It speaks volumes of how we go through things. Right? Some of us are personalities, and I'm one of them. We live our lives out loud. We let our emotions go. And I was talking to a manager recently, and I said, listen, you're doing a great job leading them and encouraging them here, but the lead-in is all emotion, and the lead-out is all emotion, and now they're drug into your emotion. Man, I'm worn out. This is hard. This is tiring. People are just being idiots, whatever. So we say this out loud, then we're trying to lead you, and then we come out with it. If I get one more call like that, it's one thing to have that happening internally or behind a closed door where you've got a place to vent that and you just, because it's real. It's another thing to lead that way. That's not okay. It's not leading. It's not coming from a place of confidence. Okay, any questions about those? Because we're going to jump onto culture. Any other questions there? We're doing good on our time, so If you've got a question, you can feel free to drop in. We're not too far from being done, and we've got plenty of time left. So let's turn our attention now to culture. Now this one's different. This one's harder, and this one may challenge some of you, right? And I want to define and talk about culture, but let's first look at from Deloitte in 2010. I know it's a while ago, but they did a survey of 13,000 millennial employees, and they found that some 7% of those workers aged 24 to 36 said they disliked their employer's culture so much that they intended to quit within the next 2 years. If you know this generation of the millennials, the Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, whatever you want to talk about it, but this generation right now, they're constantly looking, and it's not a negative thing because they're not happy typically. They're just looking to see what's happening, what's going on, what's out there, what's next for me. But what they're finding is the culture makes all the difference in the world, because this workforce that's coming in, that's in there in the 20s to 30s, they want to matter. They want to make a difference. They want to feel like what they're doing is significant or important. They want more than just work. They want impact and influence. They want to know that their time is being well spent. That's culture. What does the culture of the company say? So we're going to talk about this. This can be difficult for a company to use as a filter for hiring, but it's probably one of the most critical things that we'll talk about, and it's important that we get it right. So culture, what is it? Here's the truth about culture. It cannot be taught. It is not something that you can write down and give to someone. It's not a checklist or a to-do list or a checkbox. Culture is this, and you've got the definition, it's on your screen and in your notes. Culture is the product of an organization's vision and values, what guides them, and their beliefs, what drives them, lived internally within the company and expressed externally with customers and clients. Let me give you that definition again. Culture is a product. It's a byproduct, as a result of a company's vision and values, the things that guide them, and their beliefs, the things that drive them, their why, lived internally within that company and externally within their clients and customers and the people that they work with every day. This is critical to understand, but it can't be taught. It's a byproduct. Culture results. Every person in your company came into your company with their own personal culture. Our backgrounds, our relationships, our experiences, my demeanor. I have a culture that I carry with me. It's who I am. It's how I think. It's my character. It's experiences. And when I come into a company, my personality will have to find its place in that company's culture. If a company doesn't have a vision and values that is clear that they live by, then their culture becomes the culture of their employees, and it becomes the culture of the most dominant employees, the loudest employees, the ones who are always in the middle of things, and it may not be a culture that you want. So you lose control of your culture to the people that are working for you because they're going to bring a culture. Think about this. You hire people from other companies. That other company had a culture, right? They're going to bring that culture into your company. It's not a bad thing. They're just going to. That's what they've known. That's how they've worked. If that culture doesn't align with your culture, there's going to have to be an assimilation. If you don't know your culture, which is on your vision and values, then you are going to be shifting and shaped by the people that are coming in the culture they're bringing. They will try to influence, not because they're being negative or they want to. This is how they do things. Well, that's not how we did things over here. Well, that's not how I did things over there. They're not trying to be rude. That's all they know. And if you're not confident about what you do know in your culture and your company, they will begin to feel like they're driving wedges into what you're doing. And most of the times it's not intentional, but they're looking for culture, an anchor. Every company needs to have an anchor that anchors them in the midst of trials and challenges. And that anchor is their vision and their values. One of the things Better Staffing says is we're the people who know the people you need to know. We understand that we connect you to the people. If we can't help you, we know the people who do. The president of this company is actively involved in the community. The founder of this company is still engaged and actively involved in the community and beyond in the region. And we know the people that you need to know to make sure that we can help you do the best that you can do, right? We have a vision and values. The vision of Better Staffing is that we impact the world through service. And we do by placing employees, whether it's temporary, contract, or direct hire, we're placing them all over the world. We're placing them here in your businesses, and your businesses are impacting the world. So that drives Metter Staffing. They lead with that understanding that this is our vision. One of their values for Metter Staffing is that everything we do matters. And so we talk about that, we teach that. We go from office to office to talk about what does that look like amongst your team? What does that look like with clients, with candidates? If everything we do matters, then what about the trash that's on the floor? What about your teammate over there who's struggling? What about the paperwork you're supposed to fill out? If everything we do matters, then everything we do matters. And so when we know that and we live that, that culture permeates all the new hires. It permeates through everything we do. Okay, is that helping your understanding? This is kind of what culture is. So let me ask you, when we define culture, we have to think about our company's values, what it means to them. When you're asking questions to employees, to candidates that you want to hire, ask them to describe the culture of where they came from. They may or may not understand that word or what that means, but what was the culture like? What was the environment like? What was the relationships like where you came from? Let them explain the culture they experienced, because that's going to help you understand what they're bringing with them. Whether they mean to or not, it's coming with them. So ask them, how did you get along in that culture? How did that culture make you feel? Did you feel a part of the team? How did that culture impact you and the teams and the people that you were working with? The challenge with this question is, as you're going through it, right, is that if you don't have a clearly defined vision and values of your own company, then it's going to be hard for you to talk to them about what your culture is. Here's something you can do. If you're kind of in that place where you have them, but they're not fully integrated, we'd love to help you, first of all. I do a lot of workshops with companies to clarify their vision and values, and we would love to come alongside you to help you bring strength to those things so that you can leverage those within your company, and not just have them be tokens on the wall or placard on your desk, right, or on the website, but no one can recite. But if you want to find out your culture of your company, if you're not sure, go to some of your employees and ask them to describe what it's like working there. Right? Hey, how's your team? What do you like most about working here? What do you value most about this company? Right? Those things that they're going to talk to you about is going to be describing culture. You guys still with me? So the challenge is that if a company doesn't have a clear vision and core values, they're going to have a hard time imparting that and interviewing around that. Right, and helping to get people that fit that, because they're not sure what it is. The core values cannot simply be words on a card, on a wall, or on a website. Culture is a byproduct. It is the expression of those things we value and believe. That's our culture. Every company has a culture. The question is it your culture that you're setting, or is it the culture of the people that are coming into your company? I can't answer that for you, but it's an important question. So let's keep talking a little bit more about culture. Let me share with you another statistic that we've got. Culture can't be taught. So hiring for culture fit and culture add. I want to spend a little bit of time here as we finish this up. So it's not just culture fit. I'm going to define the difference between culture fit and culture add. Surged to first from fifth place in the last 5 years as the most important factor in recruiting top talent. Culture fit and culture add were down the list. Didn't matter as much. In the last 5 years, it went to the #1 issue in hiring in companies to find top talent. Will they fit our culture? Will they bring value to our teams? So this has become a top issue in recruiting in every industry. All right, so let's talk about this idea of culture fit and culture add, because this is really critical. I want you to get this. This can be a mindset shift for some, maybe not for all of you, but for some of us it can be. There's a danger when hiring to culture fit. So I just got done talking about hiring to culture. Now I want to express to you that there is a pendulum that can swing, that if you hire purely to a culture fit, you're going to have a bunch of robots. You're going to find yourself limited. We want people who represent our company's vision and our values. You definitely do. So you're hiring to, how does this person fit the overarching umbrella of the company, its vision and its values, who we are as an organization. So we want people who represent that well and fit that well, have high character, right? They're great work ethics. We don't want a company of clones and robots who all think alike and act alike and look alike. They're robots who check boxes. They have their head down and they do their job. For some of you are going, oh, that would sound like heaven. I understand, right? But we ultimately don't want a company filled with those people. We need to look at the culture piece from two lenses, a culture fit and a culture add. Now, hiring to culture fit, we've talked about it. It's all about alignment of personal and corporate values. That's the fit part. They need to fit the personal vision and values of the company. You ask those questions in the first interview. How well do they fit the overarching, are they going to be a good employee of the company? Now, they're going to work in a division, a branch, a team, an area in the company. That's another conversation. But the first thing is, will they fit our values and our vision? Do they have the character and the work ethic to work here? Would we hire them to work for the company? Now, you can't hire to culture fit if your hiring managers don't know your vision and values. First thing you've got to do is get with your hiring managers, which is what we're in the process of doing here at Metter Staffing, is rolling out a whole new process to look at how do we hire to culture fit and culture add, to character, to competency, right? So our hiring managers need to know our culture, our vision, and our values so they know how to ask those right questions. Culture fit questions are all about shared vision, values, and character. Now, danger, as we mentioned in hiring for culture, there's a risk. Adding people exactly with the exact same values, ideas, and approaches as your team can be dangerous. It's easy to create this Me Too environment where everyone thinks and acts in the same way. But it's not typically an environment where there's growth, ideas flourish, innovation flourishes. You won't find that where everyone is the same. So then there's hiring to culture add. And let me talk about that. So you culture fit, vision, values of the company, culture add. This is the one you really want to hone in on, because this is what's going to take you to higher levels. This is what's going to grow you and find your managers, your leaders, your VPs, your directors are going to come up from within your company when you look at hiring to culture add. What the candidate brings to the team, that's what you're asking. What's the culture add? What do they bring to the team? You want diversity for creativity and innovation. You want people who bring fresh ideas and solutions on your team, right? You want people who who make your company and your team better. They're bringing something you don't have to the table. When you do that, you become stronger. I say that we're stronger together than we are apart. I tell you, like in this room, I've got 7 or 8 people in this room. I don't know how many people are sitting with you or how many people are on your team. But think about that number. How many people are on your team? 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter. Get that number in your head? You got it? Okay. Take that number and put it in, whatever it is, and put a multiplier by it. You are 5 times, 10 times, 2 times, 8 times smarter with those people in the room than you are when they're not. Our team multiplies our intelligence. It multiplies our creativity. It multiplies our solutions. It creates a greater opportunity to move through. We're going through a crisis. We've never been here before. What does our team do? They sit down with the leadership, say, what are you hearing? They get with the account managers that are working with you. What are you hearing from our clients? We need to work together to understand we're smarter together in going through this crisis than we are if there's just one person driving the ship. It's just the truth. Culture add questions are all about thinking outside the box. Now, here's some things I'm going to do really quickly, some thoughts and questions you might consider for culture add, right? And culture fit. We've got some of these who want these. We just went through creating, and we're rolling out within Metter Staffing this first interview idea of how do we ask questions around character, culture, and competency. If you're interested in that, let Val know, send us a note, or let us know on the chat and say, I'd love a copy of that. We can do a generic kind of draft that we can send you that you can look at as you're considering how you do that hiring process. So culture understanding, you're asking in the interview, what does a company culture mean to you? Right? You're asking them, tell me what company culture means to you. How important is it for you to understand and be a part of that company culture? The other thing you want to ask them is, tell me about your previous culture experiences. We've talked about this already. I'm rehashing a little bit of it for you, right? Your company culture, share your vision and your values. What I encourage teams to do is take your core values and say, here's one of the values that we have at this company. What does that mean to you and look like to you? How would you apply that to your work experience? What would that look like with one of your clients? If everything you do matters, and we say that here at Metter Staffing, then what would that look like with your team? What would that look like with your client, with your customer, with your reps that you're dealing with? Have them talk through and imagine how they would apply that understanding to their work environment. So these are just some of the thoughts to kind of get you started. If you're interested in seeing our outline or any more questions or you want some more information about that, don't hesitate to call us or let us know. Don't underestimate the power of hiring to competency, culture, and character. Because those are the things, especially the character and the culture, they're going to get you employees that stick, that grow, that are going to be the future leaders in your company, that are take those places and replace as people are moving on or retiring or growing up through the company. You're going to move them through places of influence and leadership within your company. Good hires for the company are hard to find, and we need to shift our mindset and our mentality and our thinking. So as we wrap up, we've shared with you in the last page, and I don't have the full infographic, but it's in your notes. It's the last page, kind of a gift that we've given to you guys, and the sources here from Breezy. If you have not been convinced yet at how much a bad hire costs you, they've given some metrics, they've done some research. If you need to sell the changing of your hiring process or your interview process to a hiring manager, this could be some information that you could use to kind of help you understand the cost, that it really is a tangible cost to hiring people that aren't fitting. Let me tell you, this is the plug for Metter Staffing. Part of what they're trying to do, whether it's with Linda, who's sitting in here with direct hire and her team, Ali with our contract, or any one of our staffing consultants and our account managers, they're looking to try to find the best fit. And when we're hiring or we're bringing candidates, so you guys know, we are first seeing, are they a Metter Staffing fit? Do they fit our values and our culture? Because we believe if they fit our values and culture, especially the temps and contract, they're a Metter employee. If they fit our values and our culture, and you know what our values and our culture is, when we send them to you, you know what kind of person we're sending to you. Now, whether they fit your value or culture, we're going to do everything we can to match that, but know that when we send you people, when we align people for you, we're asking them questions about our vision and our values of our company to make sure that they're first a good Metter employee. Because if they're a good Metter employee, we believe they're going to be a good employee for you. That's our commitment to you guys, regardless of the crisis that we're in, and that's our commitment that we're going to continue to do for you guys. So review the infographic and the booklet if you've got questions. While we're understanding this, things are changing daily. Jobs are tenuous at best in a lot of places. This is what I believe, and I want you guys to hear this. This is not forever. What we're going through is not the end of the story. The key is we're going through. How you choose to go through makes all the difference in the world. Melinda said it, fight fear with faith. Fight fear with facts. Get the information. Make decisions that are best for your company and your people. Don't let the noise around you drive you to make decisions that aren't part of your vision, your values, and your culture. Our people are first. We're going to consider them first, just like you are. But I want to encourage you, we're here to be your partner all along the way. The bottom line, we need to keep people in jobs. We need to fill jobs. We need to make sure that people are working because that drives our economy. Your business being up and running, whatever that looks like, is critical to everything that's going on and everything that's going to happen when this dies down. It will die down. It will subside. It will ease. And where will we be standing when it does? Fight for that. And we're here to help you to do that. Over the next few months, we're going to continue to provide trainings. Next month, you've got it in there, and so I want to share this with you as we wrap up. We're offering a client seminar. Our client seminars are a little bit different. They're 2 to 3 hours, or half a day, depending on what we're doing, and we're going to take deeper dives into a relevant topic or issue that you're having to deal with in your companies and across industry. And so we offer those about every 3 months. We bring in a client seminar. Those are typically in person here. We don't do them on Zoom. We want you here face-to-face, interacting, networking, talking, and discussing these topics that we bring in. In light of this current situation, we're going to keep doing what we do, but we're going to have to change how we do it. So this next one is going to be Zoom, just like we did here. We can do this interactively. I know it can be a challenge. Hopefully you're feeling engaged and interacted with. We haven't had much of discussion. But we want to be able to bring this to you. So right now we are planning, and you can see the slide, We're bringing in our client seminar, marijuana, CBD, and employee drug testing. How do we navigate the recent changes in legislation, the changes that are coming? How does that impact your hiring, your people, your employees? It is a real thing that some of you may be dealing with pretty intensely already. We're bringing in a great lawyer. She's a great speaker, presenter, extremely knowledgeable. She's going to come in and speak with us, but we're going to do it, right now our plan is, over Zoom. And so you can sign up. We actually now can have more room for more people to be a part of this. But please sign up to be a part of this client seminar, which is going to be April 8th, Wednesday, April 8th is our plan right now, from 8 to 10. It may change. Regardless, if we don't do the client seminar, we will come back with a lunch and learn from 12 to 1 on that date. So we will come back with another topic. We will come back with another conversation that we'll be sharing with you. So stay informed, keep reaching out to us, keep communicating with us, and let us know. We'll be back to a regular lunch and learn, hopefully here in-house, where we're going to serve you lunch. Come and join us in May, as long as everything's where it needs to be, and we're believing it's going to be. But regardless, we're here for you, and we're going to continue to serve you guys and make sure that you guys continue working and continue doing what you are called to do, and we're going to do everything we can to come alongside you. So before I go, any questions or any thoughts, any comments, any feedback you'd like to give? Philip's monitoring things over there. Was this helpful? Give him a thumbs up. Was it good information? Do you have some takeaways that are going to be able to help you moving forward? Any?
Saying thank you.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. We got the thumbs up.
Donna says, thank you so much. Your training classes are always awesome and very helpful.
Oh, thank you, Donna. We try to do our best to serve you guys, not just with excellent employees and candidates and permanent employees, but just with everything else we can do. Anything else? Guys, thank you so much for being a part of Metter Staffing's Lunch and Learn series, Transformational Leadership. We want to continue to serve you. If there's anything we can do, you're going to get an evaluation in the next 24 hours that you get to evaluate Melinda and everybody else. If you need to evaluate me, I'll give you some tips, things you can, no, I'm kidding. We want to hear from you. You're going to get an evaluation. Let us know your feedback. Did this work? Could you hear? Did the technology work? How well did Philip engage with you guys? If he didn't, I'll let him know, right? But how can our team continue to serve you? What's some topics you want to hear about? How can we continue to speak into the industry and what you're doing? That's our passion, our desire. So until next time, you guys, God bless. Thank you so much for being a part and being on this Lunch and Learn today. And remember, call us if you need anything, if anything changes, if we can serve you in any way during this crisis. Reach out to our office, call our corporate office, send us an email, and watch our website, metter.com. We're going to be putting FAQs and information for clients and candidates and employees on our website on a regular basis. Thanks, guys. God bless. Hang in there. Stay strong.